Hi, now we're on to part 3. So the resin coated papier-mâché jewellery has been sitting in the wooden box with the heat lamp for a few hours, and then I've left it overnight, and it's dried out beautifully, so quite hard. So when they come out of the box, the little kind of sort of kiln, but it only goes up to about just a few degrees. They look like this, and you just have to look at them at eye level to make sure that the resin is equally domed on the pieces, because sometimes the resin will just sink straight in and leave a flat area. Then you have to go back and with the little pastis or pipette thing, just put more resin on top. And sometimes also they stick, so that piece has overflowed and stuck to the glass. All is not lost, because later on I can use a Stanley blade, and when all the others are off, I can just take that off and see if I can repair it. And if not, well, that's that, and it just has to go somewhere else. So these all look quite good, actually. That's not because this doesn't happen with me every time, because it does happen quite often. But last night I went over them and just checked so that this morning they'd be perfect. Okay, so now the thing to do is, first of all, I'm going to cut up some little tiny strips like that of bits of card, only for mixing the glue, which we use to stick the findings in. And then I take, this is self-adhesive aluminium. I found it in a shop that supplies bits and bobs for cars that have gone wrong. So I suppose a car accessory shop is what it's called. And I think it's used for wrapping round leaky radiator pipes before you get your radiator fixed. It has a multitude of uses, and it's brilliant because it's coated aluminium. It's lightweight, it's fine, and it's self-adhesive on one side. So I just stretch it out like that, and I start to place the pieces which have been resin domed along the top, like that. And I work my way along. Earrings, that one has stuck. Let's see what else. I've got some little ones. And some pendants and brooches. So I'll just stop like that for now and start to cut them up. This is where your scissors get quite tacky, and so I often have a piece of sandpaper around which I can just cut them with. So cut them all out quite quickly, like that, and fairly roughly. And then we can start to tidy up the edges. So we'll do it on a larger one to show you. So, like this. What I do is I cut off the corner first of all, and then cut along the edge. The reason I cut off the corner is I never used to, but then you get this sort of fold like a parcel around the edge. And in fact, it's neater to do it this way. So, I don't know if you can see that. So, oh yeah, you can there. See, I cut the edges. And then, I think we did this before, just take a spoon. Same thing as I did with the copper, only this time I burnish it in. And then, it's rather nice, isn't it? And the silver just comes up a little way. So what I would do then is decide which way I was going to have my image, because it's abstract, but they always have a particular point of view which looks better. And as I'm making them, it has to look better to me. Then I take my little bradawl thingy and make a hole like so. And I have got these little eye pins which have got a thread on them. I don't suppose that is visible, is it? Anyhow, it's like a mini screw. You can get them online, and they're really good because what I will do is pretend I've mixed up some glue here. I use this epoxy glue. Often I use araldite, but I couldn't get it, and I bought this stuff which is called 2-ton epoxy, and it's clear, so it actually looks rather nice. Araldite can have a little bit of a cast of sort of creamy colour on it, which does look a bit yucky on tops of earrings. So then I would take the Imagine, dip it into the glue which I've mixed up in equal parts, take my little thingy, put my finger on the end and dab it in the glue and just turn it in like that. So it's completely glued in, although this one isn't. And let's see, you can take it down like that. And so then this technically is, I wonder if I put it behind something, if that would help. Something black maybe. I've got a card here, I can cut a bit off. This is my card which I've got my mouse on and everything else, but I think you can see it more clearly there. Yep, see, that's the back, and that's the front. Voila. And then I would put the pendant bail on, and I use the snap-on silver-plated pendant bail for this range of jewellery because they sell for very little actually. This is a sort of bread and butter line. And I do more exotic and expensive ones as well. So the same thing applies for the brooches. Same thing, snipping off the corners and keeping about just enough to make it look nice around the edges, and then smoothing that down. And on this one I would put a brooch back. So I haven't got it here, I'll show you later. So I just glue the brooch back. For that I use, I don't know what it's called anywhere else. In England it's called Bostik, and it's a kind of flexible glue so that it actually is quite useful for on the back of a pin or a brooch because they get a little bit of extra movement. Whereas if it's going to be on earrings or pendants, I think the epoxy is better because it is more solid. But I never use super glue because it is too brittle and very often it just pings straight off again. So I will use the more flexible glue on the brooch and put that on there. And then with the earrings, let's see, oh, there's got one stuck to me. Trim them off. Like so. Really, this is kind of self-evident at this stage. Decide which way you're going to have it. I rather like it like that because, if you can see, it's got a flash of red and green and gold. So I'm going to have as we're coming into November, I'm going to have the fire at the bottom. You can play around however you like. Make a little hole. Do you know what? I'd already made a hole in that one. So that's going to be a little bit of a dud. So, if I do that very often, the way to remedy it is literally just put it, because I quite like it with the thing at the bottom. So stick it down again onto the aluminium so all is not wasted. So it's good to make mistakes, isn't it? And I'm going to cover that little bit up at the bottom. So I'll just cut more off this time, slightly. It's so thin, this aluminium, that it really doesn't matter to have another coat. In fact, it's quite nice really to have another coat because it makes it stronger. Push it down. And voila! The bottom bit is covered up. Then I will take my these are different, these are slightly different. These are little eye pins, see, without the thread. So dip them into the glue, as it were, and then finger on there is always a good idea. Just push it in, and then we have an earring with an eye pin on the top. Leave them to dry, which, depending on the make of glue you use, will be, I suppose, about half an hour or so. And then put on the earring hooks, whichever one you choose. I also make earrings where I use little butterflies and studs. So for that, again, I use silver-plated stainless steel. Silver has become so ridiculously expensive now that in order to get the best price, I would probably have to spend about £2,000 or £3,000 to get my stock of silver, and I'm just not prepared to invest that kind of money in a product which is very inexpensive anyway. So I've now gone over to using silver-plated stainless steel, and I think it's probably even better. Certainly doesn't cost anywhere near that amount. So I have got these little studs, which I have already put the butterfly on the end of, just because it makes it easier to hold. And then again, I would dip that into the glue and stick it onto the back of the earring, and then just leave it to dry. This is kid stuff, isn't it? This seems so simple, I hardly know why I'm doing a video, but it does take you on to that next stage. So I hope you can follow what I've been doing and experiment with your own artwork and see what you come up with. And any questions, just message me on Facebook, or you can get me on Pinterest, or you can find me on YouTube. Okie dokie. See you again with another tutorial. Bye.